Hey, welcome to my podcast. Today is really the first podcast, so it's going to be an introduction, not necessarily of who I am. I guess I can give you a little bit of background, but this is really going to be my thoughts, how I feel about things, so I can get it off of my head and into something else. Maybe people are dealing with the same situation that I am, so hopefully this podcast will help a little bit. That being said, I am going to give you a little bit of background of myself. I am black. I am married to a white woman. I have interracial kids. I am a creative. My wife is a person with a normal, standard job. I have kids. Like I said, I have two as of right now. More to come. And I have a background in both the arts, like I said before, and I'm military, both from birth and then also serving myself. So this podcast is really going to be mainly structured around my thoughts and feelings. I'm not even gonna market it. I'm literally going to make this podcast available on YouTube for people to listen to. And if it does anything, great. If it doesn't do anything, at least I have an archive of stuff that I was thinking. So today is March 29th, 2022. I am going to talk about the idea of feeling your feelings, right? Talking about your feelings and understanding your feelings, right? And mainly in the idea of comfortability or going after what you want. I mean, that's another situation too. So in the current situation, in the current climate of where I live, I am not really happy. I don't want to be here. I don't like this area. And a lot of reasons for it is really just one, to be honest with you, and it's because I'm not able to do the things that I want to do due to some unforeseen circumstances. We have a lot of drama in this area when it comes to the arts, and a lot of people would rather just work by themselves or have a group of people and never work with anybody else, and so it becomes a very situation, like a cliquey situation. And so I'm not really about that. I'm about making good content and making great films and whatever else we are making, being good about it, like being good. So that being said, my wife basically said I was a loser because, and she didn't say that. She just says, I think that if you had friends here, that you would be happier and want to stay and less about wanting to move. And, that happened about 2 weeks ago, so I've been thinking about it for the last 2 weeks, and it's been it's been nagging at me a lot. And the main reason why it's been nagging at me is because it's not true. Like I said, being military, moving around, I make friends, right? And the friends that are important to me are the ones that last, and the ones that, doesn't matter where I am, we're still in contact. So, for instance, one of my best friends lives in Dayton, Ohio. I don't live in Dayton, Ohio, but one of my best friends lives in Dayton, Ohio, and we're still in contact with each other. Another one of my good friends is in California. But for me, it's really about family, right? Like, I'm comfortable just being around my family all the time and then also being around filmmakers. And a lot of times filmmakers are my friends, but I also understand that there's a business involved as well. So, like, making things happen and doing things is another thing. Now, what I'm really not about is people talking trash about other people and making it to where they can't do what they want to do. I think there's a lot of that happening in this area, and I'm not saying that there is, but I think there is a lot of it happening in this area that I live. And it's a sad situation because, like, people aren't trying to come cast with you or work with you based off of another certain situation of somebody talking. Now, in LA, word of mouth is very important in LA. However, at the same time, getting your project done is very important too. So if there's a cinematographer that somebody says they're hard to work with, right? And then you ask somebody else and they say, well, I mean, they got their little issues, but at the same time, it's like they make great work. They're more than likely going to continue getting work and continue working. Whereas here, because it's such a small, independent world, there's not really anything big going on besides advertisement, that when you're talking about casting a film, and it's like pulling teeth to get casting, to get anybody to cast, because they say, well, that person is my friend doesn't want to work with that person. My friend doesn't like that person, or my friend is against this because he's talking about money, or and really it's really just a bunch of like childish games, and I'm not about that. So it's weird because I want my wife to be happy and she is happy up here, but I'm not in the same mindset as her. And I don't believe that me having any friends is going to change that mindset, because at the end of the day, I can have as many friends as anybody, right? But if I'm not happy and I'm not creating, which creating really does make me happy, and telling my stories that I've been writing makes me happy, other than my family, obviously. My family comes first. But the other aspect of it is the filmmaking part of it and the creating part of it. That's what I want to do. And if I can't do it here, I'm not going to be happy regardless if I have friends or not. The crazy thing is I can't really tell my wife that because I don't think she will understand. Because with her, she's lived in two different places her entire life. And so, like, one was before she graduated high school, and then one was after she graduated high school. So she's only really been in two different places. But me, I've moved around my entire life. I was born in North Carolina. I lived in Georgia, California, Ohio, Texas, Arizona, Mississippi, and Ohio, obviously. But yeah, every time I go somewhere, I make new friends. And I'm not saying I don't have any friends now. I do, but I don't really hang out with them a lot outside of filmmaking. And that's really because it's not necessarily I don't want to hang out with you outside of the military or outside of the filmmaking. It's just when we have free time, I'd rather spend it filmmaking, making films. Rather spend it telling stories than going out to a bar or anything like that. Because like, in my current situation, my wife works night shifts, I work day shifts, so we switch off. We see each other on the weekends, and so with the military schedule as well, we're talking 6 days, right? So without the military schedule, we're talking 8 days. I have Saturday and Sunday 4 times a week that I really get to spend time with my family. I get to make movies. I get to go golfing. I get to work around the house. And I get to just relax. And there's a lot of stuff happening. But then when you add in the military drill weekends, then I'm down to 6 for all that. Because I actually travel to go to drill. So I'm not local for drill, so I'm gone for that entire weekend. With that being said, I know I can relax during drill weekend. Like, because I don't have to worry about watching the kids and all that type of stuff. So I get it. I do have the ability to relax. And I do have the ability to write. But everything else is put on hold. So what my main issue is, and it begs the question, what really goes into making someone truly happy with their situation? For me, it's making sure that my family's good. That's number one. Family's number one priority. And then being happy with the things that I'm doing outside of my family, which for me is filmmaking, photography, music, creative work, right? With that being said, friends are on the last list because I'm so used to moving around throughout my life that it's not necessarily a holder. Like, I don't stay in places because of friends. I make friends. We stay in contact if we're any good. If we're really friends, we'll stay in contact. But friends don't hold me into a location. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the people around me. I love my friends that I have right now. But at the end of the day, if I'm not doing what I want to do or moving towards my goal in life, and one of the reasons is because of the location that I'm in, I don't want to be in this location. And it's not necessarily the idea that I can't leave. I mean, I can. I just not going to leave because my wife has a great job here. I have a great job here. And I'm actually one of the blessed ones because I found a job that I don't work during the summer, so I can travel for filmmaking. But during the during the 2 months that I'm off for work, I can go and filmic, but at the same time, my wife still is working her full-time job, so I have to have the kids. So it's like figuring that type of situation out. It's not a problem. And I know it sounds like I'm complaining a lot. I do have a great life. I'm not even gonna lie. I have a great job. My wife has a great job. Our house living situation is great, other than the critters that come in our backyard. But other than that, I mean, the situation. If anybody else looked at my life, they'd be like, "Dude, you got it made," and that's true. I do have it made, but at the same time, just because I have it made doesn't mean I have to settle. I think that a lot of people kind of tend to put having it made and settling as a like you're good, don't rock the boat type situation. But the thing is though, I'm good, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm happy with my current situation. And really, it's one aspect of my current situation that I'm not happy with, and it's the filmmaking part of it, which is a really important part of my life. Like, it's not as important as my family, but it's more important than staying somewhere due to friends. I would rather go somewhere where I can create constantly with my family and not have any friends than be somewhere because I have friends. Does that make I don't know if that makes any sense, but this is just thoughts that I have in my head. Um, but yeah, so I would much rather just create, like, be around my family, go shoot some stuff, talk and maybe have some friends there, but like not really worry about it because my kids are young, so I'm spending as much time as I can with my kids because I don't want to miss anything. But at the same time, I'm missing out on creating stuff because of the fact that this area is not the greatest for doing it. And then if you are doing it constantly in this area, you're literally having a monopoly because if you're working on something and I'm working on something, your people that you clicked up with are gonna work with you first. So it's kind of a catch-22 situation. Do I leave, right, and potentially make my wife upset because we're leaving with her friends, right? Or do I just say, you know what, suck it up, be here, write my films, and then shoot during the summer? I think I'm gonna have to compromise with shooting during the summer, but the thing is, though, I can't really plan anything for the summer due to the fact that I'm, like, literally, like, I got to plan to then go somewhere to shoot. It's not like shooting here is actually, so the way that it works, and I'm gonna tell you this in layman's terms, is I can shoot here, but it's like pulling teeth. We have 2 short films that are currently being casted, and the due date for casting is in a couple days for turning in your audition tapes, or it's actually not even audition tapes. You just turn in a headshot and resume right now. So it's like you don't even have to do much of the work. All you gotta do is send an email, and then it's like pulling teeth to get that to happen. So if it's pulling teeth to get that to happen, why in the world would I want to? But the thing is, though, that what really disappoints me about this area is there's a lot of talk. A lot of talk of, I want to do this, I want to do that, let's do this, let's do that, let's do that, blah, blah. But nothing ever happens. And it's not necessarily due to the fact that a lot of people blame schedules, but at the same time, in my opinion, if you really want to do something, you'll make time for it. The one thing I love about music, and photography and painting and fine arts is that you don't need anybody else's help to do it. Now, I could go out and shoot a bunch of stuff like Philip Bloom and not have to do it myself, but I didn't just do it myself. But that's not the type of thing that I'm trying to do. I want to tell stories. I write scripts. I want to do things that, in my opinion, can help people out but also entertain. And I want to have actors, true actors that are good at what they do. I don't want to have to be the film school type movies for the rest of my life where I write and then I star in it. I'm not an actor. But will I ever become an actor? If necessary, I'll become an actor, but I don't want to become an actor. My goal is to actually own a studio outright and continue to constantly make films, commercials, and music videos, including television. I don't have a problem doing that type of stuff. And I think with the internet, I think it's been a very loving situation. And I think that the internet is not necessarily as bad as everybody says it is. I think social media has no negative aspects of it because by itself, standalone, it's not a negative situation. Nothing that is created is a negative situation by itself. It's got to be turned into something negative. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background onto why I think this area is never going to go as planned, as we want it to go. So I have not worked with a lot of people in this area in a multi-film capacity. A lot of my time has been spent deploying to the Middle East and basically coming back from that and trying to rat race into getting some more stuff done. I did a film for someone a while back. I DP'd for them. And everything was great. They loved it. They could not stop singing my praises. And at the time, I'm bringing about $10,000 to $11,000 worth of equipment onto a set that didn't even have insurance, right? So the one thing that this person did originally was pay their actors. And at first, I didn't understand why they did that and not pay their crew, because actors can take the footage as demo reels to potentially get paid jobs, especially on a no-budget film or a very, very low-budget film. But after seeing that they have to put themselves out there, and the one thing that happens after you yell action is everybody on set's pretty much watching them, whereas nobody else on set, other than actors, are being stared at while they do their job. So I kind of understand it now. At the time, I didn't understand it. But even with me bringing that type of stuff onto set, knowing that they don't have any insurance, I asked, and this could be my fault, I said, I need to get paid something to cover potential things being broken. And it's not even necessarily like I want a lot of money, but like when you rent something, right, you're paying to rent that gear. So my thought was, if you paid me, it wasn't necessarily for the work that I'm doing, but necessarily it was to rent the gear that I actually am bringing to set. And I thought that wasn't a problem, but it seemed like it was a problem because there's a lot of people that became like very aware that, oh, he's all about money, blah, blah, blah. And my calls went from my phone blowing up to my phone not being called hardly ever anymore. Now, like I said, that's partially my fault, but at the same time, any given moment, if you didn't have the gear that I brought, you would have to rent it. So it means you would have to pay for it anyways. So anytime that you're bringing gear on a set, right, make sure you're being compensated for it. Because if it breaks on set, it's on you. So if they rent it and it breaks, then you're like, at least I got something for it. And I know this is a little bit of a rant, but I'm going to get back to topic. With this whole situation, somebody else also, I shot for them and they loved it, and then turned around and they didn't. There was a lot of issues that for some reason or another wasn't brought up on set, and there was a lot of issues that weren't brought up later, but it was brought up about 5 or 6 months later. So I know this person has been talking trash about me and behind my back. And the thing is, though, in an industry like, in the independent industry where the climate is so small, the group of people is so small, word of mouth is actually really, really powerful. So if somebody says, oh, this person's negative, this person doesn't bring anything to the table, this person is all about money, it can have a negative consequence on you and then force you to leave. And the thing is, though, a lot of times when you have a small community and you ask people why they keep leaving to go to places like Arizona, Atlanta, LA, New York, I mean, I would even go to start saying Houston because Houston's starting to build up, Tennessee. It's because, one, they're starting out fresh. Nobody's there to give them any type of crap about anything. And then two, there's a lot more opportunity out there. When you guys start talking trash about people in your small areas, you kill the opportunity to create big projects. There's one guy that I think he's one of the best writers I've ever met. And we've been talking about doing films, and we've actually done a couple of films together. And it's like we just can't link up anymore. We always talk about doing something together, but we can't link up anymore. I actually stopped talking about it, and then I actually stopped talking to people. Right? I started if you're not trying to move forward with projects, don't contact me about what gear should I buy, because at that point you don't care about making projects with me. You just want to know what my opinion is and what I'm purchasing and what I think is one of the best things to buy. One of my jobs currently, my civilian job, is taking care of gear and running equipment and stuff like that. So I'm constantly on the prowl looking at new equipment that could be used as a way to upgrade the area that the company I work for. But at the same time, it is also an area where I have a lot of time and expertise because I used to be, well, I still am, a gearhead. It's been dumbed down a little bit since I got the red Komodo, and I've been spending a lot more money and time and effort trying to find lighting gear, supporting gear for this, like lighting, audio, stuff like that, where I think that a lot of our industry actually suffers. The independent and local industry suffers. But like, don't contact me if you just want to talk about cameras, and then you want to turn around and say, well, we need to link up, and then turn around and say, okay, cool, what's the next project you're working on? And then you tell me, but then you don't want to talk about actually making it. Now, granted, like I said, my schedule is really screwed up as far as like abilities to shoot. My abilities is really only to shoot on the weekends. However, nobody really knows that. I don't tell people my schedule. They don't know what's going on. So that being said, it's kind of a weird situation for me because I don't understand why people are like that. And one of the biggest ones, there's this one female who talks amazing to me, right? Oh, you're one of the best people I've ever worked with. I love working with you, blah, blah, blah. We need to work together again. Well, then every single time I try to bring up a project, there's, oh, I don't have time, or no, I'm taking a time away from doing this, and oh, this, that, and the other. You have an excuse for everything, one of those people. And then you look at social media, which is one of the reasons why, for another topic, we'll talk about this. But I look at social media, and it's like, this project's done, and she's being tagged in all these posts. And I'm like, hold on. You didn't have any time to do projects, and you're taking a step away from it, but you're still doing it. So it's a personal attack, in my opinion. And I don't want to be that person that just automatically assumes things. But when it's like right in your face, it's kind of hard not to. And I know it sounds like I'm complaining a lot, but okay, so I'm going to ask a question. At what percentage is friendship when it comes to keeping you in one location? Because my wife tends to think that's like a 99% thing. But for me, it's different. I think because I moved around and I've had so many different friends in my life and people come and go, that I have a different outlook on life. My wife's outlook on life is that friendship is everything other than family. Family, or friendship, family, or family, friend, sorry, it goes family, friendship, good job, right? So for her, a job is not a reason to leave. But to me, it's like, that's one of the most important things. If I want to be happy, part of it, me being happy, is the job that I'm doing. And like I said, I'm happy with the job that I currently have. I'm thankful for the job that I currently have. But on top of that, I have other goals and stuff I want to go to. So if this job was in the area that I wanted to be in, or that I want to be in, oh, I would definitely stay. If this area wasn't as bad as it is when it comes to filmmaking and stuff like that, oh, I'd be super happy to stay here. I would not mind staying here if we didn't have a lot of people clicking up and people didn't talk trash about you. And you know what? I don't care if people talk trash about me. But talking trash about me to keep me from doing something, that right there is a little too much for me. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like I tell people all the time that I work with, because I'm in the military and I work with a lot of people that I don't necessarily like, but they get the job done. And the thing is, though, I trust them to keep me alive. I don't necessarily like them, but I don't hang out with them, and I don't hang out with them outside of the military. It could be the same way for the film industry here. I don't necessarily have to like you, but if you're a great cinematographer, or you get the best audio, or you're the best actor, or you're a great writer, or you're a great editor. I don't think there's a reason to shut you out of helping me with a project. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me because all this doing is hurting me. If I'm a cinematographer, which I am, well, actually, I take it back. I've recently switched over to camera operator. But when I was a cinematographer, I would work with any director because it didn't matter how difficult they were. It didn't matter how they thought. It doesn't, like, none of that stuff matters to me. Politics, that doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is, let's get this project done. And with me directing, if I can find a cinematographer that I trust, it doesn't matter if I like you or not. If you are a good cinematographer, that's what I want. You know, I want to make this the greatest project that I can. I don't want to sit there and just put a project together because I can. I want to put together a project, and I want to get better, and I want to make better projects, and I want to make great projects, which the crazy thing is, in this area, we have the talent to do that. We have the actors, we have the crew, but it's like, it's weird. It's like nobody wants to work together. It's almost freaking segregated. Like, all the black films are being done by black people, and then on top of that, it's like, so first off, black films here are being done by black people, but then it's weird because then black people are competing against each other here. So you already have a small pool of people, and now you're competing against each other, so your pool's even smaller. But yeah, so I don't know how to tell, and I want to and I need to, but I don't know how to tell my wife that it doesn't matter if I have friends or not. Friendship is the last thing that's going to keep me here. Well, that's the end. And this is my thoughts. And I'll hear you, or you can hear me on the next one if you decide to come back. If you don't, okay, that's fine. If you do, great.